Wow, look at the pictures of you and I on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
that's
essential.
really, really nice. Welcome everybody to Spin Legal. It is the July the 14th, which means we're the second week in July. Well, that's bad. That's bad. You know, Angela?
Oh
And
God,
the third
everything's
week in
slipping
July.
away from us. We were talking about the New Year not too long ago.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. I know.
and
And
then it
uh, and,
became
and it
warmer.
will be
Now everybody's complaining because it's now 47 in
yeah,
Hebedex.
and it will be Christmas soon, won't it?
Yep, and then everybody be complaining about the cold.
Yeah.
Canadian hobby. Let's complain about the weather.
And it's the British hobby as well. So you're not the only ones. And
Yep.
hey, I got German friends, and they complain about the weather just as much as anybody else. You
Yeah.
know, I was listening to them one day, and it dawned upon me, what were they chatting about? And they spent 10 minutes chatting about the weather, and
Hmm.
I thought that was the British disease. And they said, no, we're just as bad. We're not public about it. So welcome to Spin Legal, everybody. It is July 14th, and this is episode 126, and we are talking about the rules of confidentiality. And if you hadn't guessed it, confidentiality is an important point about legal in the legal field. And let's give you our short intro at first. As if you need to contact Invictus Legal, you can do so at 905-688-5598. Email Angela at weareinvictus.legal, or myself using Peter at weareinvictus.legal, and the website is weareinvictus.legal. There you go. Okay, so the discussion today is an interesting one. I'm just surprised we haven't discussed this before, Angela. The rules of confidentiality.
Yep. There's a lot of components of confidentiality and so forth in terms of how to, first of all, what a client should expect from the rules of confidentiality and privilege and what it means, and also what makes, like, what is confidential when you go in to speak with a
Yeah,
legal
yeah.
professional.
Well, that's an interesting question about what is confidential, and we'll cover some of that
Yeah.
later on. Because obviously, if you've got a lawsuit, Joey Jones is suing Mary Smith, and there's they have to give certain documents over to their legal team, and then B, their legal team has to give those certain documents over to the court in order that
Yeah.
that
Provide legal
argument can be
services.
decided.
Yeah, you have to provide legal services somehow, so
Yeah,
you have to use some of the information that they give you. But
yeah,
sometimes there's other information. Like the
but
clients sometimes go in and says, I don't want to tell you, like it might be used against me in some way.
yeah,
No, you tell me everything. Let me
yeah.
decide what's relevant.
So I was doing 197 down Highway 80 this morning, and I got dinged for doing 93 at a later stage of it. But don't tell the police that, okay?
Yeah, so these are
That kind
things
of thing.
that we kind of keep, because we're not going to say that, we're going to see what they have in terms of the Crown evidence,
Yeah,
okay? And see what they clocked you.
yeah. And the point being is that the bit when you were doing a 92, no, the machine, the police radar gun was broken.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
showing.
There's
It
a
was
lot of
showing a.
things.
It was showing the next slide. It shows a cyclist doing 92 as well. An old lady on
Oh,
a
he's
bicycle
got a
doing
lot of
92.
energy.
So we know there's a problem there. So
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
we
Yeah,
get you off, right? Not a
yeah,
problem. That type of thing, right? So, but without we don't have to tell the other side anything that you tell, only the things that you tell us, but you have to be honest, because not being honest is problematic in the legal field,
yeah.
right?
Because if you tell us something that's not honest or isn't there, and then it turns out that your case isn't a turn on that, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And for example, we know that when people are facing legal challenges and they seek legal advice, it's some of the most stressful times in their lives. For example, criminal accusations. Hey, we saw you rob the bank, Angela. You know, we saw you pick $53,500 up from the counter.
Or
Right?
someone's accusing you of being a pedophile.
Yeah,
Right?
those very stressful, but not the sort of thing.
And you may not necessarily, like, this may not necessarily be true, but you're being accused of it.
Yeah.
And you're put in a very, very serious position where you're going to have to defend yourself.
Yeah. All right. Next one, another one may be you've just been sued. You know, your car slid down a hill and injured a person, and now you've got a $3 million lawsuit.
Yep.
Where am I going to get the $3 million from?
Yep. Somebody just came in there and walked up to your door, knocked on it, and just said, "Hi, this is for you." And you go, "Huh? What is this?" And you look at it. Oh my God.
Yeah, you've been served. Right. And of course, things like divorce or family breakup is another area that's exceedingly stressful.
Yep, because many things come out of divorce contests, like in contested divorce hearings. Okay,
Yeah.
where one spouse accuses the other of this, that, and the other. I always remind people, like, who are dealing with family matters, try not to do that. Okay,
Yeah.
you got
And
married at some point. You
yeah.
had kids
And
together.
it's like, yeah. So my ex-husband is responsible for the Nuremberg, for the Nazi atrocities in World War II.
Yeah, exactly. And for September 11th and for all this stuff, you know.
Everything that's ever gone wrong in the world, they're responsible
Yeah,
for
it's
it.
all on the husband. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where you have to be very careful, because I know what happens. And the judges know this too.
Yeah.
And there's people who have written about this. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
They have, and this is why they start going. If there's children in the marriage that are minor children, there has to be a focus on the children and their issues, their interests.
Okay. The next one here that is also, stressful situation. You've just been fired, right? Again, another area where you need to have the full disclosure to your legal person.
Exactly. Like exactly. I've had people come to me and say they've just been fired and so forth, and then I find out that they've been accused of robbing the till.
Yeah.
Okay. So these things, you have to be honest. If you want to come to me and tell me that you've been fired, you want to fight it, tell me everything.
Yeah.
Okay? We can deal with it.
Yeah. Another one in this area is, again, business conflict. Right? Two partners are working together. I don't like you anymore. I'm not going to address you at all. Get lost. Go away. That type of thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but you see, there's a lot of this. It's a lot of stress, and of course, two business partners end up having, so here's the thing. In that scenario, two business partners have got a trusted legal team that they've been using for many, many years, and now all of a sudden that business is splitting. Joey Jones has to find a new lawyer. Mary Smith has to find a new lawyer.
Yep. And it becomes very, very conflictual. I used to mediate a lot of this, and one of the worst mediated cases I've done was a business split up of two brothers who had a business partnership for several years, and then they split up in a very volatile way.
Yeah.
Okay, that this one's doing this one's doing that. It's just crazy. So I arranged a mediation for them, and we worked together until we got where they would at least know what they were entitled to out of the partnership and what they could do to reasonably split it.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we just been talking about some of the people where confidentiality is an important point. People are seeking legal advice. They're facing some of the most stressful situations in their lives. Those were some of the examples. Your example, your situation may be entirely different, or maybe one of those on that line. But again, you might need to go speak to somebody. What you need is be assured that the person who you're speaking to, who's a legal representative, who's licensed by the Law Society, must consider your confidentiality.
Absolutely. And that confidentiality lasts beyond your death.
Yeah. So let's look at for a moment what confidentiality means. All right. So would you like to start with that one?
This is a very thing. It's beyond, like, we're even beyond a priest and penitent. Like, you come in and you talk to us, and I'm defending you, like, say I'm defending you at a criminal trial, and you say, and then somebody comes into the office and then they drop like a bag of cocaine on my desk. I can't just go to the cops and give it to them and say, you dropped it to me. I have to hire somebody like me who would then go to the police and saying that I had this was given to me. And I don't want to say who, but I am disclosing this to you because this is part of my obligation. Because we have an obligation to the courts. But there's no way your name will ever be put into that connection to that bag of cocaine.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, confidentiality also means that we can't be put up on the stand and made to answer questions about your case.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an interesting one because, of course,
every time someone tries to force me.
Yeah, one of course, the most famous criminal trials in Ontario was, of course, for the what's his name, the Bernardo. Yes, Bernardo.
One of my favorite serial killers.
Yeah, one of the favorite serial killers in Ontario. Yes, and of course, what happened with that particular case is there was a situation where the lawyer became, or at least the story goes, maybe it isn't true, but the lawyer became aware of tapes that Bernardo had taken. Right? So therefore was placed in an awkward situation in order, to maintain that confidentiality. And everybody, even the scum of the earth, have the right to have their confidences respected.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, this became a whole big dispute at the Law Society about what this meant for this gentleman. His name was Ken Murray. Yes. I don't know if he's still practicing or not.
I met him probably 7 or 8 years ago. He used to be in Niagara Falls.
Yeah, and he was a fairly good lawyer. He was, I think he was representing I think he was representing Paul at the time.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. And Carla had George Walker, who's a very high-profile lawyer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what they did
is, in fact, I've met both of them over time. They probably wouldn't remember me for anything, but I have met them both in individual times. And the only reason I know anything about who they represented is because it was well-known public knowledge. And in one instance, I was introduced as, hey, an Englishman who's interested in the law. And by the way, this is whoever, and he represented.
He had to withdraw his representation of Bernardo, and he had to hand in the tapes.
Yeah.
To the Crown, because that's kind of like if the Crown had exculpatory evidence, they have to hand it to the defense.
Yeah.
Similar, you have to be very careful of these things. Okay? And yes, you would have to do something about this to make sure that you're careful of this sort of thing, that you don't hold on to things that could make a difference and that can turn on a case.
So let's put a definition to what confidentiality is.
Secrecy.
Yeah, that's one angle of it, I suppose. Yes.
And privilege.
Yeah. Okay. Privilege is another angle of it. Yes, absolutely. And at the end of the day,
with a number of other things too, in addition to confidentiality.
Yeah.
That the information cannot be used in any way. For example, if you give me all this information and you're dealing with this, I cannot later on use that for something against you down the road, even if I have to sue you for some reason. I
Well,
can,
absolutely. The fact that I killed 15 people, as a mass murderer, and you got me off. And I didn't pay my bill, my $80,000 bill. You're suing me for the $80,000,
yeah, not
not
for
for
not for being a jerk.
yeah,
Yeah. So basically, what I do is we're not allowed to. Well, we can only disclose in such a collections case to the extent necessary to collect the funds.
yeah. And the extent necessary to collect the funds would be I represented John Smith in a criminal trial on the 14th of July. The total bill
Yeah,
the
disclosure
bill
was
total
this,
to
met with the
X.
Browne, blah, 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 all this stuff like that. But there was nothing there that said anything that I provided in terms of legal advice. I might put in
Yeah,
there, said I met with the client and discussed, but I would not say what legal advice I'd given them.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, or what the client might have shared with me. So things like that are irrelevant. We do not take that. Okay, and it gives you that privilege that it's never going to be used against you, even if a conflict ends up between the counsel and the client.
Yeah. And okay, so there's an important next question. Why does that matter?
Well, you want to be able to have an open conversation with your counsel or your paralegal, and you want to be able to trust that paralegal and be able to say what you need to say so that you could get the best representation possible. Okay? Because if it was known that perhaps some of it might not be kept confidential, not all of it's going to be shared with us.
Yeah.
We're going to end up getting half the story, and
Yeah.
it's very difficult for us to effectively represent you.
Yeah, and again, like we're taking the worst example of it, but the murder situation where there's certain confidential information gone on between the lawyer and the criminal, that that aids the lawyer build their best possible defense,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
it helps us build a defense. So things
Yeah,
that can help us, sometimes there might be something that I don't want to disclose to anybody, but hey, it might put an investigator on a case to
yeah,
help us look into something so that we would have somebody independent that can tell the court something
yeah,
that would confirm something that you've just told me.
yeah,
Okay? We don't want to go into a whole lot of stuff, that way. So we try to be very, very careful, but we want to be able to have an open conversation. There's some things that I tell people when they come in and they tell me that they want to take this to trial. They want to, and people very often are not realistic about what will happen at a trial. So I tell them, I said, okay, you have to tell me everything about this, including stuff that may not look so favorable upon you.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, again, this is a million. Angela, I got this dead cert win. This is $1 million case. I'm going to be giving you tens of thousands of dollars when you win this from me, right?
Fish in a barrel. Yep. Fish in a barrel.
Yeah. And we know immediately the person says that it isn't the truth. It's a long way from the truth.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So we have to be very honest, and you tell me all the stuff that has to be honest. And our practice has to be set up for that. So when you come into my office and you want to talk to us, we have a library, a private room where we meet with people, or the boardroom. Okay. So even people walking around the office are not necessarily listening in on your conversation.
In fact, actually, you learn not to.
Yep, you learn not to. Okay.
Right?
Like even our cleaner, they go around, they're just cleaning the office. They don't care what we're saying because they
Yeah.
don't bother. And they kind of stay away from that room until we're ready to come out. Okay, so
Yeah.
the door's closed. Okay? Or if somebody comes into this office and they'll sit down and talk to me and this room is closed. Okay? So it's that basic thing. It's very specific.
Yeah.
And it's very important that if you have if you're one of the people who have a practice, you have to make sure you have access to that type of confidential space where you
Yeah,
can.
in fact, actually, you and I might meet the client in a sales, in a consultation, a sales consultation, and that may be the last time we ever speak to that client, because now we give it over to, Justin or Sharina or Mary or whoever's going to be working on that particular file, and now they're often doing it, and they know a lot of more of the details than we would ever know.
Yep.
But again,
And
we still have to keep that
and they would invite you into their office and they would talk to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is done in a very careful manner. Everybody has their own office, or if they're just coming here on a placement, sometimes the placement people would sit in and listen because they need to learn. Okay?
Yeah.
You have to have that capacity. Okay? If
Yeah.
you don't have that capacity, you work from home, you don't have an extra room of your own, and you are a practitioner, and your spouse, you and your spouse are there. Your spouse cannot even listen to your half of the conversation.
Yeah.
Phone. They cannot
Right.
have access to your computer. These things are very important. It's like that's why I tend to be really picky, because I've seen issues where things like that can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you
yeah.
really have to be careful with stuff like that.
Okay, so there's an important thing here. When a client withholds important information, their legal representative may not be able to fully understand the situation and may not be able to properly represent them.
Yep.
There was a case whereby we had one not too long ago in the landlord tenant board, where the client gave us told us their story, and we represented them based upon their story. And then the person on the other side cross-examined them, and it was apparent that they were lying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's that situation. I'm essentially professionally embarrassed.
Yeah, we don't need that type of thing. So, first of all, you're going to lose your case by doing it that way.
Well, there was at the point I basically at the point when they were when that happened, I had to just wrap the case up and kiss it goodbye, basically, because I knew we'd lost at that point, right?
Yeah. Or if they deliver something to me before the hearing that would make it look that there was very different information coming out of both sides, I'd say the best luck you're going to have is mediation. We're going to try mediation.
But again,
if you don't come to an agreement, you might as well withdraw your case.
Yeah.
Because this is where the problem is. Okay? You'll try to drag it out so you'll have a chance to go yourself, but you'll understand at some point that you're not going to win this case. I went to a meeting one time. I had a person who was with, and we were trying to sort it out. And then I found out that when my landlord, he gave me all these things, and then I went to a hearing, and I found out one of the forms was about to be thrown out because it was not done correctly. There was not enough time on the forms for the notice. Then I went in to talk to my client. I said, "Look, you're going to lose this, and it's going to go." I said, "The only option you have is mediation.
Negotiate, yeah.
Yeah, let's negotiate." So I talked to the other side. I said, "Can we talk?" Hey, very willing to talk, and I was very glad that we came out of that meeting with the resolution.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my client would have been flat faced out.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So there's key factors. Everybody knows about a lawyer or solicitor client privilege. It doesn't matter whether you're a lawyer or a barrister or a solicitor. there's client privilege that attaches to that, right? And that basically means that the solicitor, the lawyer, the barrister cannot say a word about what they actually know about that particular client for the rest of their life. No telltale deathbed confessions about the truth about the Blodgett trial, where he bludgeoned his wife to death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not permitted, right?
And some lawyers and some paralegals, when they come in and talk about a criminal thing, they don't want to hear whether the client says they did it or not.
Yeah.
They want to defend it.
Well, that when I went through bar school, that was actually what one of the people on the criminal side said, is that if you're going into court as a barrister where you've got to have a consistent story. That story means that Joe was or wasn't there. He did or didn't do this and that and the other. The stream of events leads from one conclusion to the other, and you prove that through the course of the evidence given in the court. If all of a sudden something comes up that means your client was lying, now you're professionally embarrassed.
Yeah.
And your client's going to lose.
Yeah, and you have to be very, very careful on these things. Because because it's the same thing with paralegals. Paralegals have we can claim privilege, because I think there was a time when somebody tried to get me to be a witness in a case, to go in and do that. I just refuse to talk about anything because I claim privilege from wherever I am. Okay? And most of the time, unless it's something that's supposed to be through a court order or something, we don't have to give any information, and we can claim privilege, and so that we're protecting our client.
Yeah, and what you've got to remember in relation to this is it's the client that has the right to ensure their details remain confidential for your life, their life. Anybody else's life is involved in this situation until those situations all end, because you can't put your deathbed confession into the blockbuster book.
Yep, exactly. I'm sure Eddie Greenspan, before he passed, said he wasn't going to write a book like that and telling all his secrets.
Yeah. Now, the only person who can, of course, is the guilty person.
Yeah, the client can tell anybody about what he did or didn't do. Okay, and they have that right, because that's your information, and you have a right to say something. But I probably wouldn't. Probably before a trial, I wouldn't say too much. Okay, just for the sake of the trial and having an objective third party see it.
Oh yeah, but you know the scenario, which is that the person's found not guilty, and then on their deathbed they give the confession that in fact this is how I did it.
Yeah, and they can't do double jeopardy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Double jeopardy applies, and therefore it can't be done. And the important part of this is that practitioners must keep their confidences for life.
Yeah.
As I said, you can't now write that book, So my client died 53 years ago. I can't write that book.
Exactly. It's something we can't do, and we can't talk about. Sometimes I talk about some of the issues of practice and I write it, but it doesn't say anything about specific clients, because you start talking about specific clients, you can't.
But again, the experience that you learned, the issues that you learned about, and the rulings that you've had. So, I put the story that was put to the court was X. The ruling from the court was Y. And these are some of the things you can draw the conclusions from. So long as you're not talking about the evidence in the trial, those things can be discussed. In fact, actually,
reports and tribunal hearings, that sort of thing, are public information.
Well, exactly. The decision of the Smith versus Jones case that happened will be made public.
Yeah. And then that way they would say who was the representative of each side,
Yeah.
and what evidence was presented for each side, and then the analysis, and then the conclusion for the
Well,
order.
the crazy thing is, in the last couple of weeks, I had this thing whereby somebody said, "Oh, I know that you represented, Joey Jones, right? Just to give a fake name. Can I'm interested in some of their properties that they've got on this particular street, and could you give me their address?" And I have to write back and say, I can neither confirm nor deny that I represented Joey Jones,
Yeah.
even though it's in the law report, and I have no authorization to give their details at all.
Yeah, because this is privileged too.
Yeah.
Like we might want to go to him and say, so and so is looking for you,
Yeah.
and he wants to talk to you. So this is so and so's contact information. So if you wish to contact them, do it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. So if
Yeah,
you want to sell your property, these are people that might want to buy it,
Yeah.
But this is the
Absolutely.
kind of thing that you don't go even to talk. Like that's let them make that first
Yeah.
move.
And a lot of people don't understand as to why I can't actually say that occurred.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And it's really, really unusual. When people come to us and say, why do you have to do it that way? Why can't you just say we can't?
Yeah. And it's important, and it's an important thing because it's a basic legal principle that's been with our legal system for more than 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there are some exceptions. Like, for example, to provide legal services, as we've said later. If there is like somebody tells you that they're going to blow up the courthouse, okay, and you believe that they have the means to do so and intention, okay, you can't go and tell everybody, hey, Johnny Jones is going to go blow up the courthouse because he told me this. No, what you do is you tell the courthouse that there is a gentleman who's planning to come in here and he wants to cause it. So you may want to increase the alertness of people there.
Yeah.
Okay? You cannot talk about why. You cannot talk about anything there, but only the information that's necessary for other parties to protect themselves.
Yeah. And for example, stating something like the client left this office mad at the world, mad at everybody, and I believe that he was in a situation where he was going to either commit murder or physically harm the person because he believes that that other individual lied on the stand.
Yeah, and that's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to be extremely alert to this. Okay? We've had people do come in here and they leave distraught, not because of anything we did, but they might see what the other person's on the stand, and sometimes just looking at the person on the other side will upset them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. And that's an unfortunate situation, but at that point, you have to actually inform whoever, somebody in authority, let's say the police, that this particular individual might be a danger to, to whoever that they might be threatening or endangering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Only certain information, the information that you're allowed to give, and that's fairly, we're trained about that.
Yeah, to the extent that it would allow the person to protect themselves or to inform someone else to protect themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's always people going crazy. Ever since the pandemic, we've had several of them.
Well, that's for sure.
And it's really like people are just that way. And I've been hearing it from other people too. I mean, this is where we've had to be very careful with them. And nor do we tell people why we say that way, what they said to us or whatever. We just say that we suggest that there may be in danger. We had to do that last year at one point. for one of our clients.
Yeah.
And we felt was in a position where she might have been suicidal. Okay, so we just encouraged a welfare check, and but we didn't say why.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's all we can do.
Yeah, and it turned out she was okay. Thank God. That's the last we need. Somebody.
Again, the issue about that is that if you're a paralegal or a lawyer or even a law clerk working for a firm such as ours, and somebody makes allegations that, oh, you didn't win my case for me, so therefore I'm committing suicide, you have a duty to them as an individual and go chat to somebody else, go talk to somebody else. If you're a lawyer, paralegal, or law clerk involved in that kind of thing, talk to somebody else, get their feedback before just rushing off and calling the police. Maybe, maybe I say, hey, Mary Jones has been going on about we didn't win the case for her. She's been going on about committing suicide, and Angela turns around and says, oh yeah, but Mary talks about committing suicide every 2.5 minutes. Did you listen to the, you weren't here in a consultation meeting 3 years ago, were you?
Yeah.
Right.
So these are things there, like you have somebody else, like another pair of ears, to have it. And if you're a sole practitioner, make sure you contact somebody else to talk to them, like another practitioner. And
maybe the law society.
When I was a sole practitioner, I had somebody else who did something like that too, and it was very hard for me.
The other thing you can call is actually the Law Society's Practice Guidance Helpline.
Yep, and they can give you some clues as to what to say. So what I did with that one is the guy was telling me, he says, I have a gun and I know how to use it, and that's it. When he first came to me, he had emergency contact with his sister. And he said, I can tell he gave me permission to talk to his sister if there was anything wrong, or if he disappears. So I talked to his sister and I said, look, contact this number, get Coast involved, get him set up. So we had to do that. And I didn't tell his sister exactly what was going on, what he said, but I just said, get him help. And then he was provided with day-to-day help with somebody from the hospital. They were coming out to see him and they were giving him checkup. Things like that. You have to be very careful with it, because getting involved in legal stuff is like, if you're involved in it, it can be very deeply personal and very painful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here and staying with us for the last half an hour. If you need to contact Invictus Legal, you can do so on 905-688-5598. Email Angela at weareinvictus.legal, or myself at peter@weareinvictus.legal, or the website is, of course, we are invictus.legal. Okay? And the one important piece of information that you all need to know.
Yeah, so what you've heard today on Spin Legal, whether it's this show or others in this series, it's not legal advice. If you need specific legal advice in your situation, please contact a paralegal or a lawyer.
All right. And well, I hope you have a fantastic week, and we will see you 6 o'clock-ish on next Tuesday. All right. So have a great week, and hey, I wish England, France, Spain, and Argentina well.